Hello, let's continue our series of Gems of the Alshich. So if we open our Alshich to this week's part, a reading of the Torah, that's in English it's Leviticus and it's chapter 21, and it's just the first two verses, that's 1 and 2, and in Hebrew it's the bit of the Torah we call Parshas Emor, because that's the beginning of the word, speak to the Cohanim, Emor ala Cohanim, Parshas Emor, and that's Kof Aleph and is Aleph and base. So, if you have your art scroll Chumash, which is the one we normally read the English from, see how we translate it. But Yom Hashem el Moshe, and Hashem speaks to Moshe, Emor el Kohanim, and he says, speak to the Kohanim, Bnei Aaron, who are the sons of Aaron, but Marta Alehem, and say to them, L'nefesh lo yitama ba'amov, for a soul you should not, a priest, a descendant of Aaron, a Cohen, should not become contaminated through contact with a dead body. That's all we're really going to concentrate on. Now, as we said in the very first little vignette, which this series is, every single real message of the Torah is contained in the Hebrew. A translation is not really going to do it. And every translator is a commentator, as somebody wisely once pointed out. You're selecting the translation you think best conveys the idea, but maybe there are more than one idea. There is more than one idea. When you translate it in one way, you've frozen the possibilities in your translation. So you really have to be a little bit familiar with the Hebrew, but I'll guide us here and point out a couple of the questions the Alshich asked just in the first verse. So let me read that again to translate the Hebrew into English, and I'll pause when the problems occur, as indicated from the Hebrew. V'yom Hashem el Moshe. Hashem speaks to Moshe. Fine. Emor el Kohanim, speak to the Cohanim, Bnei Aaron, the sons of Aaron. So the Alshich says, come on, I mean, who doesn't know that the Cohanim, the priests, are the sons of Aaron? Obviously, they are the sons of Aaron, so we don't need to say that. Remember, no word in the Torah exists unless it's there to teach us something. And this is teaching us nothing, because everybody knows that the Cohanim are the sons of Aaron. So why does it have to repeat it? Right? God's good at Hebrew, as I told you once before, so that seems to be redundant. But Amarta Alehem, and then speak to them, L'nefesh lo yitama ba'amov, he should not become contaminated by contact with a dead body. So it moves from the plural, speak to them, to the singular. So it's just two questions we're dealing with. Why does it move from the plural to the singular? And why does it say that the Cohanim are the sons of Aaron? That's patently obvious. So the Alshich says a tremendously interesting thing. In fact, two tremendously interesting things. The first one is a principle he keeps returning to again and again and again. He says normally it's the way of a teacher, normally the way of a rabbi, when he's addressing a large group of people, and Moses is addressing the whole Jewish people, that he's content that as long as the majority get the message, of course there'll be one or two who don't get it, don't buy it, don't care, fall through the net, that's not good enough. That's why it swaps from the plural. Indeed, you're to speak to all the Cohanim, all the priests, but speak to him. Then it swaps to the singular and tells him you mustn't come contaminated through contact through a dead body, with a dead body. We care about even one human being, one Jewish human being, one human being, any human being. A singular is important to us. It's not just, as long as we've got the majority on side, even the vast majority, 95%, we're concerned about the remaining 5% who didn't buy into the picture or didn't understand the picture. A good teacher is concerned that everybody knows what the message is. So that's the first point. Let's address the other question. The question is, why does it say speak to the Cohanim, the sons of Aaron? Because that's the definition of a Cohen, who is a son of Aaron. So why does it have to repeat it here? So here the Alshich says that there are two functions which the Cohanim perform. One is, of course, they have to bring sacrifices in the temple. We all have to learn to make sacrifices. Every Cohen, that's one of their primary jobs. The second thing is that they have to keep away from dead bodies, as we said here. But he says you might be convinced that it's quite the converse, quite the opposite. Because surely the people who should deal specifically and particularly with dead bodies should be the Cohanim. Why? Because they are the sons of Aaron. And we know that when we stood at Mount Sinai, the tradition is that Jewish people reach such a high level, they return to the level of Adam in the Garden of Eden, and therefore, as he was going to be immortal, and meant to be immortal, had he not well, you know that whole story, made the enormous mistake of eating from the tree of knowledge, then he would have lived forever. He would have been immortal. We went back to that stage and we became immortal at that moment. Had we not made the golden calf, we would have stayed immortal. Oh, the golden calf. Who was involved in the golden calf? Who actually made the golden calf? Aaron. So you might think that when Aaron made the golden calf, which removed the possibility of immortality from us for that moment, and made us mortal again, in other words, Aaron brought death to the world, then Aaron and his sons should specifically be the ones who deal with dead bodies. Of course, in every Jewish community, there's a Jewish burial society. Said he dropping the safer. A Jewish burial society. It's called the Chevra Kadisha, who do this holy work of burying people and treating the dead with the respect they deserve. Incidentally, Lord Jacobowitz, one of the previous English chief rabbis, said, you can take the measure of a society and how they treat the living by how they treat the dead. And that's a very interesting idea. But you might think that as Aaron was key and responsible for bringing death to the world when it had been temporarily banished, it was meant to be permanently banished, then he and his descendants should atone for that by being the ones who deal with the dead bodies. The Chevra Kadisha, the burial societies in every community, should be the Cohanim. So that's why it says here, well, let's read it again. V'yom Hashem al Moshe, God speaks to Moshe. Emor al Cohanim speaks to the Cohanim, B'nai Aaron, and emphasize their B'nai Aaron. And then it goes on to say, and don't have any contact with a dead body. It's specifically because you're B'nai Aaron, you're the children of Aaron. That's why you shouldn't have any contact with a dead body. Aaron's motivation, Aaron's plan in making the golden calf was to stall this rebellion, to delay it till Moses returned the next day when he knew he was going to return, which they were convinced he wasn't going to return, hence the outbreak of the whole panic and revolution against what God had said. He was merely meaning to stall them. Of course, the thing got out of his control and ended up the greatest disaster the Jewish people ever got involved in or ever made. So therefore, it's saying, no, it's because you're the son of Aaron, because you're descendants of Aaron, that's why you should have been in contact with the dead body. His motivation was pure, not that he brought death to the world. His ambition was to bring life to the world, to make sure that there would be continued immortality of the Jewish people. Specifically, because you're a son of Aaron, then that's why you should keep away from dead people. So now putting it back together, and then it goes like this. But Yom Hashem al Moshe, God speaks to Moshe. Emor al Cohanim, speak to the Cohanim in the plural. B'nai Aaron. And what are you saying? That you're B'nai Aaron. That's the first thing. What does it mean, speak to them? What do you say? Speak to them that they are the sons of Aaron. Say that to them. And then, as a consequence of that, say, for a dead body, you mustn't have any contact whatsoever. Interesting idea. I wish you all a very, very good Shabbos.